Hi, welcome to the American Institute of Architects Convention in Atlanta 2015. Could you tell us your name and something about your technical background?
My name is Dan Bartlett, AIA. I'm an architect in sole practice up in Keene, New Hampshire. And I started my career in New York City, actually working as a junior draftsman on high-rise buildings in New York, and decided I wanted the country life, but I've continued to work in architecture ever since.
When did you hear about the collapse of World Trade Center Building Number 7?
I was aware of it the day it happened, and I remember noticing that it seemed an awful lot like controlled demolition, and was hearing news reporters that day and the next day also suggesting that it appeared to be controlled demolition, and I just assumed that eventually, when the dust settled, so to speak, in the subsequent days, that there would be a discussion, there would be revelation, there would be some explanation, because it seemed like a very unusual thing to happen right in broad daylight. So it caught my attention right away.
What are the key characteristics you see?
Yeah, to me, it's the fact that the penthouse goes first. That's significant to me because of, in light of the NIST report, which talks about column failures many, many floors below the penthouse. But when the penthouse goes first and the center of the building goes first, that implies that the core is being removed separate from the outer walls, which will result in the building folding up and falling in on itself, which is precisely what happened. There was no collateral damage to buildings either side of it. That is a strong indication of controlled demolition, in addition to the fact that it fell absolutely vertically. You line up this building coming down with the adjacent buildings, and it doesn't waver at all. That was a good job. Not only was it looked to me like controlled demolition, it looked like very well done controlled demolition.
Can you think of any other explanation for why this building could have fallen in the way that it did?
No other options come to me, since building collapse is a rare thing. Building collapse of this scale and this typology is unprecedented, so there's really nothing to compare it to other than controlled demolition. I mean, there was no hurricane, there was no earthquake, there was no natural cause. The building fire thing is really a stretch as far as I'm concerned, so I honestly can't come up with any other conclusion based on what I've learned than controlled demolition.
Can you explain the significance of free fall acceleration as we saw it with Building Number 7?
Oh yeah, very simply. I mean, free fall is it's the force of gravity. So at some point there was nothing supporting this building. That's why it fell at free fall.
Now, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they've concluded that Building Number 7 fell due to normal office fires. If that were the case, how long would you expect for this building to stand before it achieved symmetric free fall acceleration into its own footprint?
Well, based on other buildings of similar construction type, and comparing the fires that raged in those buildings for anywhere from 15 to 24 hours or more, raging fires, and they're still standing today, or they survived the fires. So again, there's no precedent for a building collapsing due to any type of fire. So I would have expected this. If there were random office fires, that building should be standing today, as far as as far as history tells us.
What type of response would you like to see from the members individually once they find out about this unprecedented collapse?
I would expect full support for understanding building forensics and building failure as a professional responsibility to ensure public safety. It's important for us to know the specifics of what happened at a technical level, and that would result from proper investigations by the NFPA or building officials. So I would think an AIA member would want to ensure that that information was taken in, accounted for, processed, and then resulted in safer buildings. So it's really about building safety, as I would think would be the main draw for architects. That's what our licenses ensure, is public safety.
How do you think this issue will affect AIA's credibility if it is left unanswered?
If it's left unanswered, I would think that the AIA would be it seems to me that they would be sort of sidestepping an important issue. So it seems to me that it would probably not be helpful for their credibility to avoid this. On the other hand, so many people have gotten away with just pretending that this didn't exist, and they seem to be doing fine. So unfortunately, I'd have to say that there may not be any consequences for them ignoring this, and that, to me, is borders on unethical.
That seems like a very honest response, by the way. And so how do you feel about the AIA resolution and the support for a new investigation? I mean, you've already answered that, but you obviously would like to see that. And if they do support a new investigation, what will that mean for the industry?
I actually think that's a larger question that I don't have enough information to answer, because I don't know how the investigation would turn out. If it turns out that there's a legitimate explanation for column failure, and we understand that completely, that would help public safety, because we'll make sure that the buildings that are built and designed as this building was are in fact safe now, because if they're not, then we're in trouble with buildings that already exist. So I guess I took a little diversion there, but I don't know how the investigation would turn out. So it's hard to posit how the AIA or what the conditions would be subsequent to that investigation.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.